Top 5 states with the highest rate of people on welfare. Today, we'll be diving into a critical issue that affects millions of people in the United States. Welfare assistance. More specifically, we'll explore the states where the highest percentages of people rely on welfare programs such as SNAP Supplemental Nutrition Assistance Program to make ends meet. 1. New Mexico. First on our list is New Mexico. With approximately 22.9% of its population relying on welfare, New Mexico ranks number 1 in the nation. So, why is this the case? New Mexico faces some of the highest poverty rates in the country. About 19.7% of New Mexicans live below the poverty line, which is significantly higher than the national average. The state has a relatively small rural population, and many of its residents live in economically disadvantaged areas, making it harder for them to find employment or access resources that could help them move out of poverty. The cost of living in New Mexico is also a factor. While it's lower than in some major cities, it's still high enough that many families struggle to cover basic needs without assistance. Furthermore, the unemployment rate in New Mexico is relatively high, contributing to greater dependency on welfare programs. In response, the state has a relatively high enrollment in the Supplemental Nutrition Assistance Program, helping millions access food assistance. 2. District of Columbia. Next up is the District of Columbia, with approximately 21.4% of its population relying on food assistance programs like SNAP. Now you might be wondering, how does the District of Columbia rank among U.S. states in terms of welfare participation? Despite being the nation's capital, D.C. faces significant economic disparities. The cost of living in Washington, D.C. is among the highest in the nation. For many residents, especially in lower-income neighborhoods, meeting basic needs can be a constant struggle. While D.C. is home to a relatively large middle and upper-middle class, many of its residents live in poverty, with nearly 20% of individuals living below the poverty line. Additionally, income inequality is a major issue in the District of Columbia. The wealth gap is one of the largest in the country, leading to higher numbers of people relying on government assistance programs. For these individuals and families, welfare programs like SNAP can provide essential support, especially when living in one of the most expensive cities in the U.S. 3. Oregon. Oregon ranks third, with about 17.8% of its population receiving assistance through programs like SNAP. So, what factors contribute to this high reliance on welfare in Oregon? Oregon has a higher than average unemployment rate compared to many other states, and its economy has struggled in recent years, particularly in rural areas. The state is known for its natural beauty, but a large portion of its population lives in poverty, with many relying on food assistance programs to provide for themselves and their families. In addition, Oregon's cost of living, though lower than places like California or New York, is still quite high for families living on lower wages. Housing costs have been steadily increasing in cities like Portland, making it harder for people to afford rent and utilities. These factors contribute to higher enrollment in welfare programs as individuals and families rely on government support. 4. West Virginia. Coming in fourth is West Virginia, where 17.7% of the population receives food assistance. West Virginia is one of the poorest states in the U.S., with around 16% of residents living below the poverty line. So, why does West Virginia have such high welfare participation? The state's economy has long been reliant on industries like coal mining, which have been in decline for decades. Many coal miners and their families have found it increasingly difficult to find stable, well-paying jobs. With fewer job opportunities and a lack of economic diversification, many individuals in West Virginia turn to welfare programs for support. Additionally, the state has a higher than average elderly population, and older individuals often face higher rates of disability or fixed incomes, which further increases their reliance on assistance. With its combination of economic challenges and demographic factors, West Virginia has one of the highest welfare participation rates in the country. 5. Mississippi. Last but certainly not least is Mississippi, with about 21% of its population enrolled in welfare programs. Mississippi consistently ranks as one of the poorest states in the country, with more than 19% of people living below the poverty line. Much like West Virginia, Mississippi faces significant economic challenges. The state has a large rural population, with many living in areas where access to well-paying jobs is limited. Agriculture and manufacturing are the state's primary industries, but both sectors have faced hardships over the years, contributing to stagnant wages and limited opportunities for economic advancement. Mississippi also has a relatively high child poverty rate, and children are often among the most vulnerable to economic hardship. Welfare programs such as SNAP provide vital support to families, ensuring children have access to the nutrition they need for healthy growth and development. To summarize, these 5 states, New Mexico, the District of Columbia, Oregon, West Virginia, and Mississippi, are the ones where the highest percentages of people rely on welfare programs. The factors behind these high rates include poverty, unemployment, the cost of living, and economic decline in key industries. While welfare programs are a vital resource for those in need, these states show that more needs to be done to address the root causes of poverty and provide individuals with the tools and opportunities to become self-sufficient.